am I here in this place? I'm going crazy. All I need to do now is build this place back up. Oh, hey, I think I'm going a little stir crazy here in this archaeological dig site. Welcome to the Minecraft Archaeology Challenge put on by Daskalus. This is episode 3 of I hope a 4-part challenge. I hope we're coming into the home stretch, folks. We're almost there. Today I actually get to do some building. Yay! Alright, to recap what has been going on, this whole area started out as a giant dirt mound that I had to dig out and uncover all of these ancient ruins, and we're gonna fly up real quick to kind of take a look at all of this area. A lot of it had broken down walls and a lot of items and suspicious gravel. We had a ton of clues to what everything is, and now we have kind of a basic layout. So now that I have an idea and a plan, thanks to these little signs that I've left for myself, I need to start putting things back together. So we are going to be doing things in a few different pieces. First, I'm going to reconstruct the areas that are pretty obvious. Like, we're going to be doing lots of let's make things look the way they did back when they first came about. And I do get to use creative in this, thank goodness, because this would be a lot harder if I had to go and source all of these materials that I would need out in the great world without being in creative. That would gotta stink. And then we have to actually build the buildings back. And all I have for clues for what these buildings look like are their basic shape foundations, some supplies that I gathered up from the wreckage, and, you know, just basic knowledge of building that I've had over the years. And I think I have a few more pillars I need to put in, stuff like that. Like, just getting all of these stairs in, putting some more pillars in, and having an idea of what they used to look like from, again, the materials and where things fell that I pulled up in the last episode. So yeah, let's get started on the very first of these time lapses. I hope you all enjoyed that time lapse. It wasn't very interesting. I understand that. So hopefully these next few sections will be quite a bit more interesting. But I like how things are turning out already. And if we take a look at kind of the structures that I was able to recoup, and we are going to change these things. We just figured out we had an issue where these item frames were. We had a problem with entities not dropping, so I couldn't move these item frames, and I was just going absolutely bonkers. But now that we can do some of that, we can I can place some of these additional stones, and I see a trend. So we see a trend where there were probably pillars that held up the structures that kind of like overhangs on this section. So that kind of got recreated. These, I decided to get rid of the packed mud in favor of the sandstone, thinking that they were probably sandstone, and then over time they degraded and mud and got dirty and just got packed in. So I got rid of those. Same thing on over here, kind of gave some structure. So when Daskalus in the episode 1 talked about not only the layout but the structure of these buildings, this is kind of what I've figured. I might, connect some things. Thankfully, he left a lot of awesome clues, which probably in real archaeology wouldn't happen. So if there was a block, I would dig down to find, and then if there was sandstone or mud, packed mud or something, I would assume that this used to be the floor, and then I would remove the other bricks around it and then recreate it from there. So that was pretty awesome. And I'm actually going to take this out and set that there and just put it over to the side just to represent that we know there was bamboo in this build somewhere. And I'm going to assume, because there's bamboo in that one and there's bamboo here, that the roofs or some other portion of the building had this bamboo. So as I recreate these, I will make sure that I still incorporate that. I still incorporate the oak logs, etc. And this is test subject number 1 with the rebuild. And I did not record this because I was super frustrated with the layout. Now, in here, I'm running under the assumption that these little pieces of charcoal were remnants of wood or something along that line around here in this area. So it could be trees, which I'm probably going to put some trees, make a nice little garden down here. I'm going to save that for last. But I also kind of made the assumption that there may have been some other types of wood or something like that in here. Not 100%, because the way the walls structure, if you go back to video 2, you'll see that this structure here was completely different. I couldn't figure out what to do with it. I mean, I was very, very, three days of mulling this over until I just kind of said, forget it, let me rebuild it the way I would think that I could possibly make it. Now, this one was a little, what I thought would have been a little bit easier. There was kind of an awning. There was all of these deep slate tiles down here on the floor. And actually, now that I've removed that sign, I'm going to replace that. I'm running under the assumption that the basalt was broken, and I'm just replacing it with the main tile that was in here. I'm going to get started on this, enjoy the time lapses, what I have, and then we're going to come back in and take a look at what I did. And then next episode, we will show this off to Dasklos and see how close or not I was on this. So let's begin the time lapse of all this building. Help me, help me. I hope I can figure this out. This is a lot of work. This is so much work. I didn't realize how much work this was until I did one building and just wanted to rip my hair out. So, all right, guys, let's go. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those time lapses. We now have our complete city. At least I hope so. I hope I hope there wasn't more that was left uncovered, because that would be embarrassing. But let's take a look at the map that I made here. So the map shows our big white buildings, the garden, the open fireplace, the brick and mud brick buildings that have masons and cartographers, the area where we have the mason, a few other village huts, and the open air market. I hope this is it. I hope this is it. This is what I have come up with, and this is what I'm going to stay. I have been tweaking things since each of the time lapses, so let's take a look up here. We'll start at the very first building that we uncovered. That was one of the these two were the tallest buildings that were in this area. This is the cleric villager house, and or maybe a place where they sold items. Now, I did not fill these buildings in too much. I did put beds. I am not sure. Like, these things I could take out or whatever. I just kind of wanted to flesh them out just a little bit to kind of see how layouts would have been. It could have been alternate study areas. They could have been other places where more experiments were being done. This could have been a bed or something else. Maybe it was a safety zone to keep people out of the actual brewing area. I'm not sure. I assume that they knew how to grow wort because of the soul sand, but there's nothing in the chest to be able to tell. Beyond the glowstone, because the glowstone was an important component into the brewing process. Not sure whether I got this interior correct or not, but I think so. I think I'm close-ish, at least. So then if we go into this big Parthenon type area, I rebuilt the pillars to the best of my ability. The roof is meh. I have no idea. Like, I've never built anything in a Greek style before, so you'll have to forgive me. I did do a little bit of research to kind of look at shape, but I really, with the way this layout was, I could not quite come up with the layout it might have been. I just kind of followed whatever the floor design was. Now, I did put a little bit of a table here. There was charcoal in this room, so I'm assuming there was either torches or fires or something, and that's the reason I put those in the corners. I matched the walls, so I try to do blue on these directions and then the yellow and orange in these directions. I still don't know what the glow lichen was for. Was it actually glow lichen? Was it gilding? I did use it on a couple of surfaces up on the ceiling here. Was it supposed to be like incense or broken glass or something else? I'm not sure, so I kind of have just put a sign there for that. In the other room, I have rebuilt some of the pottery and just kind of sat it around for now. And then in this room, I didn't. I mean, I rebuilt a couple of the pottery and then kind of left things where they were just to kind of represent what I think. And there was a big wood block here. I'm not sure whether that was actually supposed to be a ceiling or furniture, but I added some bookshelves in to represent that. As we come around here, I like this building the most of all the buildings that I've recreated, honestly. Like, something about the shape of this one. It was a fun challenge to try to make this shape into something that looks really cool, and I've never built anything like this ever before, so I'm pretty proud of it. Gave a little bit of an awning over here, planted the flowers that we found seeds for, left the cartographer table alone. Now, in most of these little divoted pits that I found, some of them had campfires like this one, and they all had metal. Not all of them, but some of them have metal. I wasn't sure whether that represented chains or maybe something that was protecting the fire, so I've opted now to just protect the fire, I guess. Put some kind of protection around it, and then just a basic room. Probably could have put beds in these too. But I honestly don't know whether I should have, like, recreated these more or just leaving them open like this. So I've opted to just kind of leave them open. Moving along, we have the fireplace or the meeting center. with all of the bricks. I'm hoping that the stone actually belonged up above because the brick was underneath it. Not entirely sure, but I like the look of that. It's kind of like a where I was tempted to put down a bell, honestly. I was tempted to put a bell here just like in a village, but I never found any like metal or anything to say, hey, there was a bell here. But it would have been kind of cool to have had the bell, because I could totally picture like all of the villagers kind of just coming together at night and conversing right in this area. Now we have the weaponsmith, where we found the blast furnace and the anvil, and I have left some of the charcoal down here, just as kind of representation of probably we're either using charcoal or something like that in these furnaces. Now I found a floating furnace, and there's nothing underneath it until you get to this granite, and I was very confused, so I did put some more furnaces in just to kind of stack it up. Not sure if that's what that was meant to be or not, and it could have been something else altogether. Maybe there was supposed to have been a fire pit, but there was a granite block right there, so you can kind of see that I did not put that there. It was always there. And then if we come on over here, once I started to go with this and saw how it was planned and placed, I kind of think these may have been pins for animals as opposed to just manure, but that could still represent manure left behind by the animals in the pins. So I have made them stand out to be pins now for just actual cows. And then, of course, Leathersmith had these cauldrons here. And if you come back in here, there was another fireplace area. And just another room, so probably storage, maybe a place to smoke the leather hides or something, maybe, I'm not sure. Over here on the mason's house and the brick house, I did put the stone cutter in place where right around the place that I had found that iron ingot. And then if we come back in here, to the best of my ability... Oh, that's weird. I had built those up. To the best of my ability, I rebuilt the brick kilns. I know I mentioned this before, but there would actually be fires down below. And then the fire and the heat would come up into the upper areas and would cook the bricks in the individual holes. And they would probably be a little bit bigger than this. But you would cook the bricks, and then once they were completely dried, you would probably stack them up here or stack them out there. And then you would continually keep it going, basically. And the open market. So the open market I decided to keep as open as possible, but give some fabric... give some wool tarping over it. And this one was the most fun. Now I have left everything in place. I haven't actually rebuilt the market. I did opt to have these little guys here represent lighting, like we had the lights down there. And instead of stone, because I didn't find any stone, I went with wood, with the assumption that they were like probably the posts. Could have probably done it like a villager house, like a villager's, their lampposts over there with a block of wood and then torches around it. But since they already had lanterns of some sort that I found, I was assuming that they had lanterns available. So instead of having the torches, but I have left all of the items down on the ground just to represent where they were. And, you know, when we go through with Dasklos, I'll probably explain why I did that, and I might ask him if in the next episode all of this stuff is like built out, like it's in a final form. You'll know why. But next up, all of the shepherds and the butchers and their residences. Some of these I put stuff in the rooms. These things are like little mazes, honestly. Like once you get them all done, they're kind of little mazes. I'm assuming this would have been the residence of the Fletcher, maybe? The one that we have missing? But I never found anything that would have represented the fletching table. Like if there had been a block of birch here or something, I would have put that down. I probably would have given us a fletching table. And then at the very end of the street, I made all the little villager houses. So these are very simple, a bed and a torch, and that's it. And then I just connected them all up together with a pathway. And maybe before this series is over, well, I'll actually bring some villagers over, because it would be kind of fun to watch them going about their business here in this little village. And I can't believe it, but I actually have a village now. I mean, take a look at this. This is a full-on village. And if I brought villagers in here from over there, like, they would probably be just living it up over here, and this is a lot more expansive than that. So we might have to definitely bring some over. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Love you all very, very much. Give yourselves a hug for me. Hope you enjoyed this little bit of recreation. Next week, we're going to be judged. Next time, we're going to be judged on how we did. And Dasklos is going to come through the area. I'm going to have to tell him what my ideas were and what my thought process was during this whole thing. And we'll see. We'll see if I did okay or not. Like, I'm sure Harold and Oda will do much better. They have done so much more with the builds and the styles of, you know, ancient Greek Parthenons or whatever it is, than I have. But this has been a fun challenge and something new for me, like completely new, just kind of limiting myself to very basic materials that would have been available to maybe prehistoric kind of villagers. They obviously have all the same kinds of tools and stuff as these fellers over here do, but completely different in a lot of ways too. So it's been a lot of fun. Hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time. Oh, and hopefully I can go home finally. I can build a... Yeah, hopefully I can go home. Bye, everyone.